Hello YouTube, this is Dexter on here with a brand new deck profile and tournament report. So, as you guys know, I was attending a regionals yesterday. I came first in Swiss and second in top cut. There was only a top 4 cut. I had 5 rounds in Swiss. I won them all except for drew one. I had a really great matchup where I drew with a really cool play. I'm proud of myself. Outside of that, I mostly just suffered from bricking and my opponent's bricking. I'll go straight into the deck profile and then go through my matchups and pretty much everything that went on. So the main deck is pretty much standard from what I was using. There's a few changes. I took the maxis out of the main deck. I didn't think they were great in the main deck, especially since I wanted to go first all of the time. I did put in Magic Jammer, which is a funny story because I had to loan get my Magic Jammer or something, but it was in awful condition, so I had to re-sleeve. And I was begging for everyone, so I didn't have to sleeve, because I love my orange sleeves. I was begging off everyone to see if anyone had one, and nobody had one. And there's this one guy who's at the regional, and he's from Galway, so he's from my locals, although he's not always there. And I'd asked him, and he said, "No, I don't have one. Sorry, dude." He's a good guy. But later on, after the event, or in the semis, I was looking at his binder, and he had one, an Ultra Magic Jammer, and I was kind of like, it was so funny, but I was almost pissed, but it was so funny because they were sleeved anyways. So, and I really wanted the Magic Jammer anyways, even though I'm probably going to drop this deck. In testing, I rarely ever bricked. In the event, I bricked a lot. In the finals, which I did lose, I bricked 2 games and my opponent opened the nuts 2 games, although we did already play each other. He was the person I drew against, and I do think he had the better deck, and he was probably the better player. I don't know, of course, you can never know that thing when you're playing different decks, it's not the mirror, but he probably was the better player in that event, and he also had the better deck, and there was a bit of luck involved too, but you can't take anything away from that person. So yeah, the extra's missing one card. It's a Gramples. Sorry, I loaned my Gramples, which means I borrowed it for the event. If you remember my original profile, I wanted this guy, and I actually have 2 of them now. I pulled one in my entrance packs. I pulled one in my 3 of them. I pulled one in my entrance pack. I pulled one in my victory pack with my winning packs, and I got one. I bought one right before I entered because you have to handle in your deck list before you enter, so you can't pull your packs and then if you get it, put it on, right? So I had 3. So that was crazy, but I still have no Gramples, so I'll get one of those next week at Logos. Everyone has like 100 of them. So yeah, 1 Break Sword, 1 Gramples, 1 Utopic Future. That's awful things you can't usually out, like Dark Destroyer, Dankness, and just like go savage on their field. 3 Dantes, of course, 2 Downard, 1 Virgil, 1 Alucard, 1 Levair. MVP, but this is the real MVP. I made this I made this effectively more than any other card except Dante, which is crazy considering it was better than Gramples and better than Breaksword, which I made about 2 or 3 times each. I made this twice, and both times it forced a draw. It won me the game to force a draw. This and Barbar and a really cool Sir Phoenix Wing in the last play. I'll have to go through that in my tournament report. And it also just straight won me a game versus Cosmo, where I had to push through he had a Slip Rider on board. I had ways to get around Slip Rider, but I didn't want it to float. I didn't want him to get his engine going. I didn't want him to get like a Dark Destroyer out of his hand. This is my point. And then I would have lost, so I just pushed for damage through it. I actually attacked the Dark Destroyer last. I made Dante. I made this guy, detached Barber from this guy to burn 900, attacked 2000 directly, and then attacked that's it. That's really it. So that was 2,900, and that was pushing for game. Yeah, so pretty much. Mechrift Engineer, Acid Golem, Mesrhythm, and Token. Pretend this is Grand Pulse, so 15 cards. Same with the side deck. I'm missing 1 card, which I own, but I cannot find. I'm nearly 100% certain I still have it somewhere, but it's probably on the floor. It's a Gamasiel. So 2 Maxi, 2 Veiler. These are for going second against decks I want to go first, like Atlanteans, which was a semi-poor decision, but a decision I have to stand by in the finals, where I made my opponent go first. And both times I went first, he made a board I couldn't break, but I didn't want to get OTK'd, and both games I bricked as well. So even if he'd gone second, he would have won regardless. But I have to stand by the decision. I think it was the right call to make. I don't know the Atlantean deck, and I'm a Mermail player, but the playstyle has changed so much with Neptibus. Neptibus has made that deck completely different, and that card being a +2 is ridiculous. That's just a normal summon +2, and it's search. Oh, it's just a ridiculous card. I ran 2 Santa and 1 Gamasiel. The reason for this was because I couldn't find 3 Gamasiels. And as you probably know from my BA deck, I don't own strikes. I don't have all of the good cards. And that's just kind of tough shit. So I made a deck that was affordable, but also within what I had in my trade binder. So I had 3 Santa Claus in my trade binder, so I ran 3 in 1. Did I resolve either of the cards? Did I summon either of them? No, not once. Not against my Cosmo opponent. I Ironwalled my Cosmo opponent once, but that was it. It was, and that by the time I flipped Cosmo, it was redundant. It was win more. But yeah, 2 Twin Twisters. I don't really side this in against any specific deck. I just side this in against decks I want to side shit out against, and that is also good against. I bring 1 in against Monarchs. The reason is I don't side Fire Lakes. I don't think I need a 3rd in the side, and I think it's an awkward card. It's kind of more bricky as well than Twin Twister. So what I do is I just slide this in and make it like the 3rd Fire Lake. That's not quite as good because you can't backcheck it, but it's also better and it's easier to resolve. Like, there's so many times where, like, in game 2s you have to side out like some engine cards to bring in like the win condition cards like Ironwall, and against those decks it's just kind of, you don't want to have a handful of traps that are useless. Against my I believe it was the Cosmo opponent I played, he won pretty much because I opened 7 traps. So I went second. I went first. I set 5 traps. No, he chose to go first. So I went second. I had 6 traps. I set 5 of them, and I had 1 of them, and I discarded 1 of them for a Regeki break that I activated. And the next card I drew was like a skill drain, and then the next card after that was an Alec. So, and that was when I just scooped. I was like, nah, I can't make a play with just an Alec. So yeah. I don't think, like, shouldn't take out too much of your engine when you're siding it. 2 Arnwall, or no, wow, there it is. It was stuck behind an Arnwall. Thank you, Gamasiel's in my side deck too, if you didn't already know. And 2 Grandhorn, and 1 Breakthrough. Breakthrough is kind of like just something you side in because you want to side shit out. Like, against Monarchs, I've like a lot of dead cards like Trap Trick, Trap Nightmare, which was meant to be a Chaos Trap Hole, by the way, but I couldn't get one. See, these are the reasons you shouldn't play events poor. So yeah, I pretty much just budgeted the whole thing, and it worked out. As I said, I was undefeated in Swiss. I did draw, but I undefeated in Swiss, and I lost in the finals. I did brick, but I was outplayed as well. So yeah, that's my main deck. The tournament report would be first round Shadows. He got a game loss because he had a Dweller in his. He Dweller and like 1 main deck card in his deck box that he wasn't in his deck list sheet. So he had 16 cards out of deck and 16 card extra deck. Except but it was because he hadn't taken the cards out. He just put them after taking them out of his deck. He just put them in his deck box, which you can't do, and it's just tough shit. Game loss, whatever. But it was unfortunate. So I beat him game 2, of course. No siding. He was playing Shadows. But I offered him to play a second game, a friendly, after, because we had so much time, because the first game was over so quickly, and we had a 10-minute extension as well, so whatever. Well, two players that had 10-minute extension, so we had a 55-minute round that we had like 45 minutes left in. So I played a friendly with him, and I beat him in that friendly too. So I think there's nothing on my conscience that I could have lost that match. My second match was Monarchs. Against a local player who I don't really know that well. All I know is he's building Phantom Knights, and he wanted my break swords. But regardless, I bricked game 1. I scooped that up. He had Pandemonium, and I don't want to say bricked because I didn't really brick. I just bricked against his board. I couldn't out his board, so I just scooped it up. He hit Pandemonium plus Majesties plus back row and like 3 cards in hand. At that point, I was like, no. I had like a Bagjack, Cagna, Barber, like a Magic Jammer and a Breakthrough skill in my hand. and you could probably out that board, but it's not worth really the effort into it. Just go to game 2. So went to game 2, sided in my shit, got rid of all of the shitty cards. By the way, actually, I did open time space, which is useless against monarchs. So that was another one of the bad cards. So I went to game 2, I sided in all my stuff, got right out all my other stuff, and I won game 2 and 3 pretty easily. Monarchs brick, and if you have Iron Wall up, they can't do anything that will help get rid of the brick. They can't use Pantheism to search, and they can't use Eidos to get Edia back, or any of those cool plays. I think they can't use Prime Monarch either to stall out. So yeah, this is pretty much a game right there. Round 3 was eerily similar. I scooped up against Monarchs game 1 as well. I had an away to Out's board. Similar board, I think, except it had a... there was no Majesty's Fiend, but my hand was worse. It had like Trap for Shrapnel Nightmare and like 4 other traps, and I drew into a Fiendish Rhino Warrior. So it just wasn't worth playing. You could out the board. You could crash Fiendish Rhino Warrior, send Farfa, and out it, and then have traps to deal with some things. But it really wasn't worth it. It was a losing game, and I wasn't wasting time and being forced into a draw. So I went to game 2. Game 2 I won. Game 3 I won. He did brick game 3. There's nothing that can be said about that. But game 2 was just a long game, one of those long drawn out games, and eventually I got the more advantage. I pushed through with Dante's and won. Round 4 was my Mermail matchup. He destroyed me, OTK'd me game 1. There was nothing really to say about that. There's not much I could do. I do know what Mermails do. I know they're a very aggressive OTK deck that generate a lot of advantage. But there was some stuff he was doing that I was like, what? Is that legal? And it was mostly to do with Neptibus. Neptibus is a crazy card. And so is Dragoons. Dragoons at 2 with and resolving 2 in a turn, and Dwellers and stuff, detaching from Dwellers for searches and recycling it with Neptibus. Crazy stuff. I really didn't realise that matchup was so difficult, and he destroyed me. There was nothing about it. He won convincingly. Game 2, it was long. I started playing defensive. He got me down to 100 life points. He was at 4-3. I burned him with a Barber down 900 to like 3-4. So he was on 3-4, I was on 100, and this persisted for like long turns. And we were in time for a while, and it was like turn 2 or 3 of time, and we started playing defensively. He had like 2 defensive monsters and a set card. I knew he didn't have any defensive set cards. I think Abyssur was the only one. Like the rest were like Officer Goblins and whatnot. So he was playing defensively. He twin twisted me, discarding like an Abyss Fair or an Upstart or something plus off, and he got rid of a Solemn Warning and a Skill Drain, which were useless since I had only 100 life points. I couldn't activate either. But he actually helped me win by doing that, because what it was is I had 2 Fiend Grieving sets, and I think my other set was like some jank. It was an activatable card, like a Breakthrough skill that I could just like activate whenever. It could have even been a lure or whatever. So I activated all 3 of the cards, basically to spin back his max C's into his deck, even though like I knew it was in time, so it wasn't gonna matter. He's 34 lap, I was on 100. And I actually double Fiend Grieving, sent nothing from my deck, activated the other card, cleared up my field, summoned everything on the field. I had a Sur in hand. I milled with Dante 3. And I had no cards left in deck. I set a Phoenix Wing Moonblast. I attacked with Nightmare. I made Dante Nightmare Shark. Nightmare Shark attacked, detached Barber, burn 900, then attack. So that's 2,900 damage. And past my turn. This was the last turn time. I had 0 cards in deck, so I'd lose next turn anyways. But it was he had the last turn of time. So as soon as he finished his turn, so on his draw phase, I discarded with Phoenix Wing Moonblast. Sur brought back Barber. Barber self-destructed because Nightmare Shark was on the field. Burn for 900. That was game. It's 29 plus 9 is 38. He only had 3,400 life points left. And that was like the craziest out I've ever done to anything. And it was. I mean, it was ignorant. I'll be honest. That was a game he should have won, probably. But I thought that like for me to see that out was pretty cool as well. So I was happy that I done that. I mean, a lot of other players would just scoop that up and say, "Oh, Dante's can't get over this board. 2 sets and an Abyss Fair. No chance." So yeah, I was pretty good with that. I played COSSY next. I'm pretty sure it was 2-1. I think he beat me game 1. I lost a lot of game 1s today. I mean, I lost outside of the game loss that my first round 1 opponent was given. I lost all my game 1s, and that's the unfortunate thing about yesterday. I bricked so often. I really did. In a deck that I thought couldn't brick, like even if you did brick, you couldn't make good plays. You just can't afford it with Cosmos, Monarchs, and all these decks, especially on second against them. It's crazy. So yeah, I lost to my round one opponent. Then as no, I'm pretty sure I beat him in game. I have no idea. I can't really remember. I do know that it was 2-1, and that in one of the games I drew all traps. I think it could have been game one that I drew all the traps. But then we went on to game 3, and I won in game 3. I also Nightmare Shark there, Nightmare Shark for exact game. Just Detached Barber done 29 when you had like 2,700 life points left. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It was really good games. So there was 5 rounds Swiss done. I was happy. I placed first in Swiss. My round, my top 4 opponent didn't show up. He's actually a local player called Alan. So shout out to him. He top 4'd, which is really good because if you think on budget, this guy's even more budget. He played Magicians. I'm confident I would have won, not because I think he's not a good player or because I don't think he was able to beat me or whatever. I don't think I'm a better player for any reason whatsoever. It's because he's playing Magicians, and even if you do break in this deck, you can't really lose to Magicians because the Ahe just has such an inherently good, destructive matchup against them, and they can't deal with all that destruction. They can't deal with traps, they can't deal with anything like that. And the boards they make aren't like Pepe boards where they're like 3 things, like a Dweller and like 2 big strong seeds. Their boards are like 1 Dweller plus like 1 monster. Totally more easy to break, especially like, it's the same with Mermaids, like it's so easy to, they're so much easier to break than Mermaid deals. So yeah. I'm confident I would have won that, but I can never say I would have. Either way, I went to the finals and I bricked both games, as I said. My opponent up the nuts both games. There's no chance out of that. And also I'm giving up this deck because even though, like, I have to be honest, in all my games, this guy here, Blackjack, was the best card. He is also the brick card, so he's the reason I bricked so often. I opened 3 Blackjack. In game 1 against that Mermaid player who gave me, I opened 3 Blackjack, which is you shouldn't factor that into your decision to buy Blackjack because you should never ever open 3 Blackjack. But I found that I was opening them like so much over the course of the days, even in a lot of the games I won, and that's the reason I don't think I can really play BA anymore, because losing to bricking when no skill is involved is the most awful thing you can do.